July 2017. Hereby call this meeting to order. We have a quorum consisting of Mr. John Magnus, Mr. Billy Rodriguez, and myself, Bill Gleason. And also present with us is Tony Rivera, our event coordinator for the Freedom Fest and 4th of July event. City Manager Henrietta Turner, Tom Caldwell, our attorney, and Jim Lawhon. And here's Ms. Sanchez. Good. Good. And our esteemed mayor back here.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, sir, I don't.
Ed Dickinson, I'm just a citizen.
Okay, that's, let me find, being just a citizen is a good thing. Okay. Let's rise and have an invocation. Our Heavenly Father, we ask that you lead us and guide us. We ask that you be with us as we make decisions that affect our community. We ask that you help us to make the right decisions and be fair and honest and above board with everyone. We ask that you help us serve our entire community, not just some, but everyone. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. Would anyone like to make comments?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. Jim? All right. The first thing that comes up on our agenda, item A, for presentation and discussion, is what we're wanting, all of us, I'm sure, wanting to know about. Brief by Mr. Rivera and Ches Perez, and discussion about statistics from the 2017 4th of July event.
No, you're fine.
To include revenue, expenses, to be followed by an open discussion about overall performance of the event and what could be done to improve future events of this nature. Before I turn it over to Mr. Rivera, I wanted to mention that the last part of this I asked to be put in because while the event's fresh in our mind, we need to think about things that we would consider changing, things that might improve our operation, and things that we know of that could be maybe fixed or tweaked a little bit to make things work better. And I know Ches, put it in those chairs right here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know Ches and I talked about this pretty heavily the night of the event, and I think he's got some ideas, and I think I know I do, and I'm sure each of you have. But anyway, that's what I wanted to mention about that. That's why I put that in there about that. Okay, Tony?
All right. Well, first I just want to say congratulations for another very wonderful community event. Everybody that was able to make it, it was great. And I know there were a lot of people talking about it after the event. I received some calls, and we received emails, we received social media responses with people posting their own photos and things like that. So it was very well received within the community. That I'm gonna spit out a whole bunch of information for you guys, so just feel free to take notes, and then I'll answer any questions as we go from there. But first question everyone wants to ask: did we make money? Are we profitable? Did we lose money? Absolutely, the event is profitable. We're still working on finalizing all the numbers, but right now, based on revenue and just all the bills and everything, I would say we probably brought in anywhere from $600 to $7,500 in profit. Okay, last year, it was $9,300. We had a big expense, an added expense this year, and that was an event coordinator to actually coordinate the event. So that was reflective of that. But that's pretty awesome, actually, when you look at the numbers that way. Some of our numbers that were interesting are our sales, our pre-sale sales were down. Our overall attendance was down. Myself and some others were a bit surprised looking at the crowd that was there throughout the whole day, that the numbers were down. Don't have too much explanation on either way why it was down. But for some more specifics, we're looking at a difference between 395 people paid attendees from last year to this year. Okay. If you want to look at the total paid from 2016, 1,116 people to approximately 721 this year. Okay. Total attendance, because there's other factors in your total attendance, is total attendance includes kids who are not charged at all, craft vendors, food vendors and their staff, just the staff that is to run the event, sponsors, participants, such as our volleyball and washers, all the people that came in with the car show, and some other VIP, I call VIP because they are our city council and a couple other people like that. And so, reflective of 2016, approximately 1,760 people in 2016 to about 1,384 this year. Okay. Need to go off my list here. There were actually, if anybody was able to look at it, I know Ches saw it, Monica from the city, we all looked at it a little bit, there were hundreds of cars this year outside our gates, in the city park and here on the property, even going onto the side field. We didn't have that as much last year, but there was a lot of people doing that. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they did take part in the festivities in one way or another. Okay. This year we had 9 volunteers, and it's something that we just need to find a way to reach out and get. We reached out for volunteers for about 60 days, but we had 9 volunteers, 4 of those being board members, 2 of them citizens of San Antonio and 3 local citizens. One of them was a citizen who found me on Facebook who had only been here for a month, and she thought it was the coolest event.
Oh,
You got to spend some time with her,
Yeah.
visit with her, and she was just so thrilled to be able to come out here and do that. And she even emailed me afterwards. She was very appreciative and looks forward to volunteering at any other event that we have out here. Last year, just in the comparison, we had 18 volunteers. This year, we had the Heartland Kids Zone, which was a complete success. Completed success, and we need to look at possibly extending the hours to that next year, maybe by a couple hours, not too late, but maybe right to where it gets dark, so then let everybody go outside and have their fun, but possibly extending that maybe 1 or 2 hours. But that was a huge success. We probably had about 250, a little over 250 kids come through the gates, and of all, from infants all the way up to those 12-year-olds running everywhere. We also had something new this year. Was we had complimentary train rides, which was a sponsorship from our city council, and I know people really enjoyed that because it wasn't just for kids. Parents got to ride on that train as well and get those pictures with their kids, which is a big deal when you have those memories that they get to take back. Next year, something that we did this year, and it was mostly because of lack of volunteers, was we went to not using coupons for our beer sales. It would help us a little bit on management of money, of not having to have so much money on site, is to have coupons and use coupons. We have plenty of them in this room next door to do it. It would just take a more concerted effort on finding some more volunteers to do that, and/or just forking over a little bit more money on paying some staff, just some hired hands to stay there all day and do it that way. Last year, we had 4 community service people that came and helped out. We reached out to the different, to the courthouse and things like that, if they had anybody that needed. This year, we weren't able to round up any. Something we just might want to promote a little earlier next year. I'm trying to get some more community service to help with trash pickup, heavy lifting, things like that. We had an incredible fireworks show. And I mean, I've been doing fireworks show, this was my 19th year to do a fireworks show somewhere. And the fireworks display was incredible. We had so many people reply specifically about that fireworks show. Things we did different with that is last year to this year, same amount of money, it's $8,000 to put on that fireworks show. Last year it was an automated fireworks show where it's computerized. This year, it takes more skill, but it actually works out better is when they could do it themselves and they actually just do it manually based on the music going, but it really turned out to be a better show. Last year, the fireworks were shot closer to the rodeo ring. First time doing it out here, we wanted to be safe on where the fireworks were really going to be flying, that kind of thing. This year we moved it to 150 feet away from the back part of our parking lot here. And it was very noticeable, it was in your face and really worked out well. We had no medical calls, which is always a great thing. We had no police-related incidents as well. Sponsors were happy. The ones that I've spoken to, I have a follow-up letter that goes out probably this next week to all the different sponsors, kind of giving them some of our numbers, showing them pictures, the successes of the event. Phelps in particular brought it up, said, hey, we'd love to be involved in it again next year, but we really need to be, if you could let us know way far in advance for budgetary purposes, and that also means that they may be able to help us, support us in a larger amount, but it's just, most sponsorships start planning their budgets in October for the next fiscal year. And so it's always good to hit them up very early. Richardson Brothers Chevrolet, I talked to them. Richard over there is prepared to come back in next year and actually come in with a little bit more funds. But the same thing, can you please hit me up earlier though? 3 months, he was like, 3 months is, I can make it work, but it makes it easier on him to budget it out a lot further. Let's see. We had less in-kind donations this year, but we had more sponsor dollars, and that's why. Our sponsorships a year ago were about $20,500. This year we're right at that $26,000 mark. Okay, we have 6,000 of it outstanding, as in we sent them invoices and we were just following up on them getting it paid out through Heartland and a couple other sponsors. But that's incredible when you really think about that kind of money. 20,000 was incredible for this area, for the type of event that happens. But for those sponsors to see the value of it, from FEDC coming in to HEB, Walmart, San Antonio River Authority has become a great partner. Henrietta's done a lot of work with them on cultivating that relationship, but being that that river is right there, they've stepped up and are interested again for next year. So that's great. Let's see. Before I go on further, are there any specific questions anybody wants to talk about on budget?
What did our alcohol budget compare to last year?
We actually were up $500 from last year. Last year we did approximately, and when I say alcohol, it's beer, and it's kind of, it's mixed in there. It's beer, sodas, and the concessions. Yes, concessions last year was about $5,700. This year we're about $6,280. Okay, considering our numbers were down,
Good spot.
you know, there you go. Kind of interesting.
I'm curious about the numbers being down. I was on the front gate for about 3 hours And we had a tremendous number of people come in with red bands. And people for the volleyball tournament and things like that. And that was never put into the bucket.
Right.
We had no count on that, but I mean, we had tons of people doing that.
Based on bands that were given out, the count of bands that were given out was about that 225 count of bands given out. Those bands attributed to vendors,
Yeah.
craft, food, attributed to several sponsors, attributed to our Boy Scouts, attributed to our Peanut Festival Corp.
Yeah, and we had a lot of parents come in, and we didn't really try to track them. They came in, they said they had to pick up their kid.
Yeah.
We didn't, they could have stayed here, we didn't even question that. If they had to pick up their child, you know, that was just something they had to do.
Right, right. And, you know, I have to say it was a little hotter this year than it was last year, but we still had the cool-off zone. Every single person that came to this event, I would say, let's just say 99%, really enjoyed themselves, whether
That
being
was
inside, the cool-off zone, the immense amount of shade that we had, and all those tables indoors and outdoors, and that kids area. There were so many parents in there just enjoying watching their kids run around, slip around on the floor. And so that was, it was worth it. These type of events are extremely valuable. Let me see if there's anything else that pops out on this. You know, we did expense other things this year that we didn't last year, just because of need, things that we wanted to try to increase the value of the event. Having music inside, a DJ, those type of things, you know, $400 in, $300 there, they add up a little bit, but for the value of the event, I mean, you want to make sure when people come into the event, whether they paid $5 pre-sale or $10 at the gate, that they got their money's worth and that they saw value in.
Out of curiosity, what was the time frame of you had to work with last year on marketing the event versus this year? I think you were probably had a little less time.
Maybe about a
And
month.
that-
A month less.
Do you think that swing may have, I mean, because the event, obviously with less people, still made more money in the long run, in a lot of different areas, so kudos to you on that. But I'm just wondering if that month made a significant difference in educating the public to us doing it again. And I mean, getting more
It
sponsorship
could've.
dollars really made a lot of
Well,
difference.
sponsors are what make or break your event.
Yeah.
I mean, without a sponsor, your idea with sponsors is to cover as close of all your expenses as possible before the event starts.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think we got there. I think I told Mr. Gleason going into the event the day of, I was like, Bill, he asked me, how are we doing? I go, Bill, don't stress. I go, we need to make about $3,700 and we're broken even. So we're gonna get there. Don't worry. I'm not worried about any of that. So don't, you know. But of course, 30 days more will always help. 60 days more in planning provides just staff to be loosened up, not as having to just do so many things at the end. Because staff, the event couldn't happen without, I'll be honest, the event couldn't happen without Chez's help, but without Monica Valise, our finance director.
Yeah.
Okay, she, I could say, because I work for the city, she busted her butt making things happen. Okay?
She worked hard, and she and the other young lady that was with her in here.
Dora, but I'm talking Monica, the amount of work she put into it prior to the day of the event. Other great things, I mean, in-kind sponsorships. Chez, by making some phone calls, was able to find a vendor that was able to sponsor our generators. That saved us about $1,800.
That's great.
Okay, so it takes everybody to do a little bit here, a little bit there to make things happen. And Chez also came up with the idea of having a volleyball tournament and a washer tournament. We almost had a wash in that, but the amount of people that it brought early, when people are showing up early and they say, oh, are there people there yet? Well, having that activity there was the true value, not necessarily the revenue. I mean, it did make money. It made $300 at the end of the day, okay? Which is, hey, that's good money in anybody's pocket. So, but having that event stirred up more activity, and I'm sure a washer tournament next year would probably have 2 to 3 times as many people. But Ches and I talked many times on these kind of things is one person, it's hard for one person to create any type of event like that, let alone his help doing it. We were both talking, God, can you imagine if we had 6 months or 9 months to get everything that we wanted to get done, you know, because when you're planning it, halfway through you start thinking of other things. Oh, we should have done this, or we can do that, but it's too late. Look, those kind of things.
And we also maintained a low cost level for our citizens that came. I mean, I've gone to events that cost $15 to get in the door that weren't near as big and as exciting as what we had here.
I only had one person gripe about paying $10 for walking up. Only person I heard gripe, and that was just during the 3 hours that I was
Yeah.
up in front, and that was all. I was surprised that they even complained about $10, but.
Yeah.
You know, and those are those things that, as the event person, that I want to make sure that I leave to you guys as talking points for another meeting, or some things like that. What is the, because I'm not sure if everybody on the 4A board understands, and people in the community and or city council, for next year. What's the goal of the event? Is it to make money? Is it to break even? Is it to have the most awesome community event that we could possibly have? And 'cause I'm just gonna talk in some real terms, is to make 7,000 or 10,000 or 15. That is a drop in the bucket to the real bill that of this facility. And so, to make any money is great, but at the same time, those are decisions you guys need to think about. Is, well, what do we want for next? Do we want? I did a poll, and you can go look at it. There's several polls on the Facebook page, asking people, did you notice this? What did you notice? And they told me what they noticed. Next year, 4th of July lands on a Wednesday. Do you want the event on Wednesday? Do you want it shorter? Because if you do it on the 4th of July, it needs to end by 9 probably, so people go to work the next day, because most people have to work. Or do you want it the Saturday before, which takes it to June 30th? And there was results there. Most people said June 30th. But right close behind it was 4th of July, condensed hours a little bit, instead of noon to midnight, maybe it's a 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock. A couple less bands, but maybe bigger bands. You know, everybody always wants bigger entertainment, but bigger entertainment costs money. But you know what, if we get to, I'm confident that 95% of all of our sponsors, 100% will come, of those, 95% of them will come through. And it's not necessarily about the amount of hours that the event is, that you're having an awesome community event.
But Tony, if I could say, that I think at the first time, when we did it the first time, it was convincing sponsors to say that we actually gonna do it, that we were gonna have.
That we could pull it off.
That we actually gonna have fireworks, because I think the community had had fireworks maybe 4 or 5 years previously. And so just, that was a challenge to get people to say, oh, we're gonna have fireworks this year, which was something the city had done, because the year before that, I think it was at Riverbend had it. And so that was a challenge. And so this year, our challenge was to say, we're gonna do it again, and we're gonna make it bigger and better, and we're gonna, some things that we can come up with that are even, you know, that we're coming back. And so I'm thinking now, it's kind of like we built up a momentum to say, yes, they can do it, we can make those. And so I think next year is not so much convincing, there are other people to do it. And Heartland said that they'll be done next year, but they would like to come back, because they did enjoy the children in there, and having the monitors in there, and then people really enjoyed the trains. I mean, they only stopped the train when the fireworks started, so they just run in the dark, they're running around in those trains. So those kind of things, it was an affordable event. I ran into the manager from Taco Bell, and she had more fun than anybody out there introducing themselves, and those people, and they are tracking, because they give away those free little gift cards, and she was saying, you can't imagine how many of those they received.
Well, that's great. Floresville Dental came in again in the second year as a watermelon eating contest sponsor. And that's one of the highlights of the event. I mean, getting all these different age groups in there to have fun doing that, as well as some of our council taking part with some of our other local celebrities in the Peanut Court, and the manager from Taco Bell, things like that. that was great, to see all those people smiling. I'm gonna provide Henrietta and Ches with and Mayor, a slideshow of photos, in case it's something that you wanna circulate, of the all different age groups doing line dancing in the ballroom, to the kids playing around in the gym. I've got a tremendous video of the finale part of the fireworks that was just awesome. But those are some great things about this event. Other things that we need to look at is, yes, as a group, as a 4A group in the city of Floresville needs to decide, I think it's probably a done deal that you need to do it again, because the community needs it and wants it. Picking dates as early as possible. And part of that is to do with the fireworks company. They need to be locked down, at least verbally or via email, so they have you on the calendar. I've already spoken to them and said, I told them, hey, I'm sure they're gonna want this, I gotta figure out what the date's gonna be, so they can get that on the calendar, because there are not a lot of fireworks companies out there in our region, and we wanna make sure you get them on the calendar. Other things is, just checking out, doing your own assessment based on our pricing, $5 pre-sale, $10 at the gate. Is that what y'all want to keep with? Which seem to work well. Nobody likes to increase pricing, so you may want to look at in the future decreasing pricing. Who knows? Sponsorship, like I said, this needs to, sponsors like to be approached starting in October. Another thing is possibly reaching out to our 4A board, starting there, and if we need to branch out, is having some board members and or key community volunteers that can come in and help with certain things. When I say that is, one thing we didn't do this year, it didn't make us a lot of money last year, but it made us money. It made us $780 last year that we didn't do this year, was our raffle. There are tons of small businesses in our community, and when I say that's not just Floresville, but Poth and everywhere else right around, that there's no reason, especially, it comes easier from people that are local, that live here, that we shouldn't have 50 items, from Miss Annie's Peanuts to Circle G's, gift certificate, all those, the nail salons and the sisters and those places. So maybe possibly having somebody that's like, hey, you run with the raffle, like, we'll support you in every way we can, but you kind of, help lead that. Possibly volunteers. Heck, if we could get 20 volunteers, that would really help. It really would.
So I have a question for you about that, though. Where was the sign-in, and where was the advertisements for the volunteers?
In all honesty, since we don't have a lot of outlets, it's mostly on social media. Okay. Mostly, and then reaching out to some of the same groups that helped us last year, which was Parks Foundation and different local entities. We have a huge church presence here in this community. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if there is a crossover into that. I'm not sure. But at the same time, our sponsorship levels, something we may need to have some of us look at is how can we get some more local companies involved. Our sponsorship levels start at $200. And the reason why I chose that all the way up to 8,000 is so every small business here can feel like they can be involved. Okay? And so we have a car show. So, is it trying to reach out to some of our body shops, some of those things, hey, why don't you be the sponsor? Or it's not going to cost you. We're not asking for $1,000 or $1,500. I want to make sure that small business know that they could be in here and be marketed up there with some of these larger businesses. BYOB, this building's a BYOB building, but we have to also make sure that we understand. I had some pushback the day of the event because there was people drinking bottles at their tables. And when we're doing, this isn't a quinceañera, it wasn't a wedding, it was a special event. We have signs on the front gate, and when you drive into the parking lot that says no outside food or drinks. But there was pushback saying, well, this is a BYOB building. And so, that's something we need to look at. There was one table that had 5 bottles on their table. There's only 8 people sitting at that table. So that's one thing that, that I'd mark off in the notes as, hey, let's look at that for next year. Food vendors. Food vendors, we had good food vendors. None of them made money. None of them. It's a shame. I mean, we went down in our price to an extremely low price. They do have to pay a $125 permit fee. And then they pay between $50 and $200. One lady